Welcome back to Global Marketing Day. We have reached the final hour of our 24-hour marathon that started all the way on the other side of the world and is finishing up here in San Francisco. My name is Brian Fanzo, founder of iSocialFans, millennial keynote speaker and podcaster, and I've been your host for the last, I don't even know how many hours, lost track. I'm having fun. I still got energy. I hope you guys do as well. Hopefully you're on the socials using hashtag Global Marketing Day. You know, this has been one heck of 24 hours or 23 hours so far, and we're going to wrap it up with two really powerhouse discussions. I'm excited for both of them. I've been excited a lot of the things going on, but there's a lot of good stuff in the works, and there's also some changes and ways that we can stand out and have some fun. And so I got two wonderful panelists that are going to join us. For those that are tuning in for the first time, we're going to do about a 15-minute presentation. Goldie's going to give that for us here. And then after that, I'm going to open it up to yourselves. You guys can ask some questions. I'll see them here on the screen. And I'll include both Stephanie and Jeff in the conversation. So without further ado, our next presenter is Goldie Chan, and she is personal branding and storytelling contributor at Forbes. Really writes some good stuff. She's quoted me a couple times, but that's not why I like it. It's good stuff, even when she doesn't quote me. And she's one of the top digital strategists on LinkedIn, works closely with C-level executives at Fortune 500 companies to perfect their personal brand. I perfectly messed up perfect. So that's how you know we've been doing a lot of good stuff. And then we're going to bring in Stephanie and Jeff, who I will introduce in a couple of minutes to be part of this conversation. But Goldie, I'm going to let you jump into personal branding for leaders. The floor is yours.
Amazing. So I am so excited to...
Yep, that camera.
Look at that camera.
There you go, yep.
Okay, looking at the wrong camera. So now we're looking at the right camera, and we're going to talk about personal branding for leaders. I'm so passionate about this subject because I work with these great, amazing, very top-level clients to make sure that their personal branding is amazing. And as Brian very awesomely mentioned, I also write pretty frequently on personal branding. So let's get into it. I love this quote. When you're in your own lane, there's no traffic. And this is by the lovely Ava DuVernay, who is one of the top female directors out there right now. And she has truly defined her own lane. She went from actually a career in PR, in marketing, to creating an entire genre of film, both on Netflix and in the movie theaters itself. So let's get into this. This is a little bit of a background of me. Why am I here? I am known as the Oprah of LinkedIn. So this is my funny little moniker that I have that a few press places like Huffington Post have said. I also had the longest running daily channel on LinkedIn, creating videos on marketing and branding. And of course, I write for Forbes on storytelling and personal branding in the digital age. Okay, so we're going to go in step by step through this over the next 15 minutes, so this will be pretty fast and furious. Why build a personal brand as a leader? And then we're going to go into the 5 C's of personal branding, as well as social media platforms that you should really look at when you're thinking about building your personal brand. And then, because I am actually a school teacher, we're going to do homework. I'm going to assign everybody on this stream some good old-fashioned homework for those of you that are still awake, or if you're in this time zone, just getting a little bit sleepy just now. Okay, so why do we build a personal brand? Let's get into it. Here are 5 great reasons to build a personal brand. So first of all, it helps us build credibility. And we're going to go into some of these as the 5 C's. It will also strengthen your network. It'll make your network super strong, so you'll be able to rely on it in case a recession ever happens. You'll also be able to share the wealth of your knowledge with others, and be a stronger advocate for internal causes. And then at the end of the day, I love to include this, have higher job stability or be able to retain clients longer. Woo! Okay, so as a leader, here is my mantra that I give a lot of my clients, which is, as a leader, your credibility around subject matter, which is what you're known for. For example, I am known for, say, LinkedIn videos and, ironically, personal branding. Your confidence in public and private professional forums. So how you are when you're at a conference or how you are when you're doing a team meeting. Your clear communication, how you talk to others. And your curiosity, how much you care about listening to others, equals success, which I will define as personal and professional fulfillment. Yay! Who doesn't want to feel more professionally and personally fulfilled in their everyday, day-to-day life? Okay, so having a personal brand as a leader sets you up for success and sets up your team for success. So many leaders, they tell me, well, I don't want to have a personal brand because I don't want to take away from my team. But it's so powerful. It's so powerful to build a brand, because then you can advocate for your team and what they care about and what they care for. So let's get into some of the top leadership traits. Okay, these are the 5 C's that I believe every leader should have, a really strong element of all of these. Number 1 is confidence. Number 2 is curiosity. Number 3 is credibility. Number 4 is catalyst. And number 5 is number 5 is commitment or culture. Okay, so let's start with confidence. Now, I love dictionary definitions, so let's get into some dictionary definitions of some of these words. For confidence, confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, or firm trust. It means, can people trust in what you're saying? That is confidence. That's a little bit different than what most people think, because confidence is different than ego. Now, we've all been there. We've all been tooting our own horns at times and really believing in what we're saying. But true confidence comes from a firm, calm belief that we know what we're talking about. And it's a very trustworthy belief. And here's a couple of questions I really want you to think about when you're thinking about, am I confident? Am I a confident leader? How can we be more reliable and inspire trust within our team and external teams? How can we be stronger speakers and or brand advocates in general? Okay, number 2, curiosity. Curiosity is a strong desire to know or learn something. And really, the questions with this is, how can we inspire our teams to learn more and want to develop more? How can we really make them want to grow into the wonderful human beings that we know they can be? And I believe that this is an incredible part of having a strong personal brand, once again, as a leader, is being able to inspire others and be really curious, aka listening to your team and really caring about what they're saying. And that, of course, leads me to my second question, which is, how can we be better listeners? Now, I had a really amazing client, and she ran basically the second largest real estate company out of New York. So she's an amazing C-level executive. And when she deals with her teams, she takes such a hands-on approach because she wants to know what they are struggling with. And that's what makes her a really strong leader. But also, publicly, other people have commented that she is an amazing listener. Now, this doesn't make you look bad as a leader. This makes you look great because it shows that you care what happens with your teams and you care what happens with the people who are under you. Okay, credibility. Credibility is the quality of being trusted and believed in. Being a, for example, credible source means that news sources like Forbes will quote you more often. So one of the reasons why I love, of course, quoting Brian, who is off screen right now, is because he is a truly credible source to quote. So having credibility is very, very important. And there are so many other people out there that I love quoting because they are credible sources, because they work for also, say, amazing brands like Google, like Adobe, like LinkedIn, like all of these wonderful places. It's really good to know if other people perceive you as being credible. because then you can become a resource for other people. So this is so helpful for leaders to be credible, because then we are quotable. Yay. Everybody laugh because I'm so cheesy. There's my dad joke for now. So these are the two questions that we want to ask. How can we build trust within our team and, say, the global brand that we may partner with? So myself and then pretty much everyone else who is sitting here right now, we all work with global brands in some capacity. And it's our credibility that makes us more reliable and is the reason why brands love, of course, to work with us. And how can we position ourselves as thought leaders? So you guys can't see Stephanie right now, but Stephanie is also sitting here and she is an amazing live streamer. So she's a thought leader in that space. So it's very important that you understand what space you can become a thought leader in. And then once again, you can become very credible in that space. I'm just going to kind of mention everybody. So number 4, I love this word because most people don't think of a leader as having this piece within them, which is being a catalyst. So as some of you might know out there, I was a biology major in school, and I did quite a bit of actual genetics research when I was much younger, back in the old days. And a catalyst is a person or thing that precipitates an event or change. So a catalyst is the change maker. And this is so important for a leader to be a change maker, to be someone who encourages other people to change, because that's how successful businesses happen. So if we remember way back in the early days, there's a couple of brands that I can quote about this, but I will go with one that many people don't think of as a brand that changed, which is Pixar. So Pixar, in the early days, was actually doing commercials for tech companies. Pixar is based here in the Bay Area in Emeryville, and now, of course, makes globally successful 3D movies. What Pixar did well is they were always on the edge of technology for creating a 3D movie. So when the time came that they could actually do it, they got the budget, they partnered with Disney, they were ready. Also, let's be honest, they had done so many 3D commercials. I think one was for Dentine. You can go back and Google it. They were ready to do a really advanced 3D tech for these big blockbuster movies that you may be familiar with, like Toy Story. Okay, so let's think about 2 questions for how we can be more of a catalyst within our own brand or within our own teams. How can we encourage our teams to be open to change? And how can we create internal change? Okay, number 5, and we're going to wrap this up really quickly. Commitment or culture. And this is the attitudes and behavior characteristics of a particular social or work group. So this is how can we create a strong culture that believes in what we believe in. I'm going to cite Adobe again and say one of the really wonderful taglines that Adobe has is Adobe for all. So everyone can use Adobe to be creative. Everyone can use this brand to make beautiful art or use it, the enterprise software side, Adobe Experience Cloud, to really get things going for their marketing and understand things better there. So how can we really strengthen or grow our networks in a healthy way, but how can we also support internal causes in places that we work with and people that we partner with? And that is culture, and that is commitment. Okay, finally, really quickly, these are 4 different social media platforms that I absolutely 100% believe in for building your personal brand as a leader. Number 1, LinkedIn. Now I have to say this because once again, I'm the Oprah of LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is my favorite platform for building a strong personal brand, regardless of if you think that you're a leader or not. You need to be on LinkedIn. You need to follow all 4 of us who are sitting here on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the way to go if you are building a personal brand as a leader. Number 2, Twitter. I have been actually spending quite a bit of time on Twitter lately. I have been tweeting and using hashtags. I believe that Twitter is having a really lovely resurgence as a platform. It's really powerful. Brian and I actually tweet back and forth quite a bit. He's laughing because it's kind of embarrassing. But this is what happens when you're friends with people who are also social media geeks. I also really think Instagram is a strong platform if you have something visual to show, right? I don't believe in jumping on Instagram or Facebook for that matter if you don't really have things that are super visual. Okay, and then finally, homework. This is my homework for everyone on this live stream, which is I want you to organize one event internally. So say you work in-house somewhere, or say you partner with a brand, I want you to try to organize an event for them, and I want you to encourage at least 5 coworkers or 5 people that work within that brand to attend. And then, so we go even further, we write up or document this activity into a LinkedIn post, a tweet, an Instagram picture, all the wonderful things, a TikTok video, a Snapchat video, something that hasn't even been invented yet. Piece of content. So we want to make sure that every time we do an event, that event goes super far. And now you're on your way to building a personal brand. So here is where you guys can find me. I actually don't like it when people add me on Facebook, so don't. But you can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And yes, that's my LinkedIn QR code, so you can scan it. Scan it right now, guys.
Sweet. Thank you, Goldie, so much. That was great. And I love the where you covered and kind of bringing us in that whole picture, right? And not only understanding of everyone needs to have a personal brand. I like to say the old school ways of doing my work and letting my work do the talking for you are over. If that's the case, you'll be out of work, out of business before you know it. And that's the hard truth. And I want to bring in both of our panelists, Jeff Hunter. Jeff has actually been on here with us already a couple times. He's the CEO and founder of Brand Media Team, where it builds personal brands for CEOs and company founders. And then the lovely Stephanie Liu she has spent the last decade helping Fortune 500 brands and small businesses leverage social media and lead paid search advertisements for one of the largest search agencies in the United States, as she is the founder of Captivate on Command. Stephanie, Goldie said a lot about video, talked a lot about LinkedIn. You talk a lot about video, a lot about live video. We've had a lot of great discussions throughout this day about lots of different content, but I can honestly say not very many people brought up live video at all. And it's interesting because we are live on live video here on this show.
Right now.
So in that personal branding context, which Goldie set us up on, what role do you believe live video plays in personal branding?
Oh, absolutely. So as Goldie mentioned, that one of her C's is having confidence. And when you are confident on camera, that speaks volumes in terms of what your clients can expect from you, from working from you, as well as your employees. They can look up to you. And when you're live streaming, honestly, there are no edits. Everything is there. It's not going to be on the cutting room floor. So you show off your personality and that authenticity.
No, I love that. That's why I love live video, because it's the perfect excuse not to be perfect, which I think is like the greatest thing ever for me as someone that botches names and things that go on. Jeff, for you building personal brands for other people, let's say outside of the Jeff J. Hunter brand, when you look at like one of the things like the pain points, where's a place where someone maybe doesn't realize they can start focusing on their personal brand that is a great place to start? We all love LinkedIn. There's no doubt about it. Which if you would ask 2 years ago, the amount of people that would love LinkedIn in a marketing conversation, very little. Congratulations, Microsoft, on doing a great job kind of rebuilding LinkedIn. But what are your thoughts, Jeff, on something that, like, and we're not going to say TikTok, but somewhere that someone might focus on to move forward in their personal brand?
Well, one thing that's really important is just knowing what your audience actually likes, right? So I think not enough people really put the time into actually understanding their audience and really what you bring to the marketplace that's unique. And when it comes to content, I really like to focus on, what do I really do? So like, for example, Goldie talked about what she does and Stephanie talked about what she does. And a lot of people just don't have a really strong statement. Like, so for me, like if I introduce myself to somebody and they ask me what I do, like I actually have something planned. I say I build personal brands for founders and CEOs who are already successful and they want to become influencers on social media. right?
Yep.
So it's a very specific thing. And then what I do is I build content that supports what my brand promise is.
Right.
So I have 4 pillars of basically exactly what I do in my business, and one of them is around branding, one of them is around social media, one of them is around inbound marketing, and one of them is about building virtual teams. So I do content that's very specific around that topic and what I actually do for people. And that way it kind of gives you a guideline of what you can do and what you should do, and also it creates intentional content.
Right, I think that's important too. And even as Goldie was going through her presentation, she was quoting us, but the thing she was quoting us is what we want to be known for, right? She brought up Stephanie on camera, confidence on camera, right? She knew and like part of the thing of having that thing to say is just as much as your own introduction of getting word of mouth recommendations, people quoting you, people knowing what to say. Stephanie, I would love to, from your days of the search world and how much has changed, yet somewhat how much has come back to be the same as it always was. What are some of your things that I think in the personal branding space that people can start doing that used to work a lot that we maybe forgot still is like kind of the core to our businesses?
Oh, it's Goldie hit it when she said, like, it's all about communication. People are so used to short form text messages, things of that sort, but if you really want to move hearts, move stages, make a movement in and of itself, then you definitely want to go ahead and have a clear communication style. And I find that most companies don't invest in that as much anymore as they used to. They're more about like, oh, well, here's the click-through rates, conversions, and so on and so forth. But if you can't tell a story with that data in a way that moves people, that is passionate, and they're like, man, you know what, we need to shift more budget towards that, you're not going to make any waves in your industry.
I love that. And I think you mentioned before we went live on this segment, like, this is a colorful panel, right? This is a panel that and I think standing out is a big deal as well, right? I think it's not only standing out with your messaging, but standing out on what you want to be known for, what the things you care about. I mean, Goldie, you were talking about the shirt you were wearing, right? And I know your love for comics and nerding out in that whole world because you put it out there. The previous panel, John Ferrara was talking about, the relationship in our business world goes far beyond what we do as a business person. And I think that's something that the three of you do really, really well. And I think when someone's looking at their personal brand today, we often think of it business and what do they need to know about what we do. And there is something about the fact that I know the kids' names, right? We can connect those dots. And I'm curious, Jeff, if you looked at that from a standpoint, what's a piece that really someone can start sharing a little bit more of right now that allows them to understand someone deeper?
I think it's really important. One of the pillars I have is copywriting. And it's very interesting because whether you're doing video or whatever it always is technically copywriting. It's really about telling the story. I think what Stephanie said was spot on. Storytelling is so important. It's really interesting to me because Goldie and I had a conversation before we went live here, and we were talking about how she has random fans that come up to her to take pictures. They're not actually there for the event, they're there to take a picture with her. And what's really interesting about that is I have to admit, I've been there, and as a kind of chubby bald guy, it's still really awkward to me, and I think it's because of the storytelling. I have people come up to me and they want to give me hugs and things, and they act like they know me because in their minds they do, because I've been very good at telling stories about my life and about things I'm working on and clients that I'm doing. And I would say the advice is you want to make sure that you're telling stories that are getting into people's hearts. Are you really getting into their hearts and minds? Are you winning them over? Do they feel like they could come up to you and they know you in person? And if they do, then you know you're doing something right.
I love that. All right, Stephanie, I want to give you kind of the last piece on this panel from a standpoint of giving something that, the way that you've built your brand and being able to pivot even in your career and the things that you love doing, what is your inspiration? Where do you look at as someone that inspires you to keep pushing the needle forward that maybe people in the audience can look for as well?
I look to a lot of YouTubers and seeing what they do in terms of creating content because, like you said, they're always listening to their audience. Your audience on YouTube, they're always trying to find a solution to a problem, and the YouTubers, I feel like, are always the first ones to be innovative, to create the videos, to create the thumbnails. And when you have people like Sean Cannell, and Roberto Blake, and they're throwing it down, you're like, wow, you know what, I should do that. So those are the inspirations.
That's a great place. And it is. They're the bleeding edge. They figured out how collaboration makes sense in growing your social media. You know, Amy Landino. She's been creating 2 videos a week for 10 years. We've been preaching consistency like last year. She's been doing it for 10 on YouTube. Great stuff. Love all 3 of you. Great panel. We could talk literally for hours on this topic. We could do a personal branding day with just the 4 of us, and we could talk the whole time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have 30 minutes left. We have one last panel to wrap up this amazing 24 hours of Global Marketing Day, thanks to our friends at Semrush. So stay tuned, use the hashtag. We're going to send these guys out, we're going to bring in the next group, and then we're going to wrap up this amazing 24-hour event. Cheers.